1 of the series against the Hawks. Welcome on in. I'm Taylor Rooks with Blake Griffin, Dirk Nowitzki, Steve Nash, and Udonis Haslem. I mean, the Knicks led pretty much wire to wire in this one. What stood out the most about how both teams showed up tonight, UD?
I think the Hawks came out, they played hard, they had a game plan, and they tried to stick with that. But I think when you look at the game, you can tell which team has playoff experience. You can tell which team has guys that have been in the struggle, been in those battles. I think New York was very intentional about where they wanted to go with the ball, what they wanted to do, how they wanted to attack. And I think it was a little bit different on the other end for Atlanta. I think they got a little bit out of whack a little bit out of rhythm. They didn't get to the points. They didn't attack KAT as much as I wanted them to. They didn't attack Brunson as much as I wanted them to, but I'm sure they'll make those adjustments.
Yeah, I thought it was good to see KAT get going in the second half. Not just the points, but just the way he was playing. He sort of mixed it up. He saw a shot go in, got downhill, played a little bit more physical, and was active. He rebounds. He always rebounds well, but came over, blocked some shots. Just his presence when he is active and he's moving around, showing emotion. I think that's the best version of KAT. So if you're a Knicks fan, that's promising to see.
I love Anunoby again, was hot. I think it was a typical Josh Hart game. He was in there getting his nose bloody, getting 14 rebounds, battling in there. Overall, I thought the Knicks actually didn't play an amazing offensive game. There were plenty of chances for the Hawks, but too many stretches where they couldn't score. It felt like there were some handoffs on the three-point line. Nobody really attacked. They weren't really shooting the ball well. Too many bad possessions overall. So, and at the end of the day, UD talked about pregame, how the Hawks needed more fast break points, speed up the pace. The Knicks beat them 23-14 in fast break points. That's obviously not a recipe for the Hawks to win.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Hawks, they want to play fast. Coach Snyder wants them to play fast because they struggle in the half court. As you said, a lot of side-to-side stuff, not enough downhill stuff. But they rebounded the ball pretty well. They defended pretty well in stretches. As a team making their first collective playoff experience here, I think they got to take some of the positives and chip away at the offense. Yeah. How can we find some opportunities to get into the paint, draw and kick, to play? I think they played almost too fast. They were too frenetic, and I think they turned it over or had a hard time kind of converting opportunities. So take the good, keep chipping away at the bad, and see if they can gain that experience night to night in this series and claw back in it.
One thing that was pretty glaringly obvious is the lack of depth at the center position that Atlanta does not have. I mean, Okongwu does a good job. He's physically big enough to guard KAT, and he can move his feet and did some great things tonight. But after that, I mean, it drops off quickly. And I don't know what the Atlanta Hawks will do. I mean, Steve, if you were Atlanta's coach, are you going to try to switch those matchups? Are you going to try to? I don't know what you do because of just a lack of
Well, it is a concern. I think the Jock Lundell piece, him not being unavailable really hurts them. Not only does he give them a backup center, but he gives them a stretch five, a little bit of more shooting out there, rebounds. So he's a little bit of a skill guy at the five. So, I think they probably have to junk it up at different times, whether it's hitting sometimes, whether it's going to a little bit of zone or switching in zone behind, whatever it may be. I think they probably just got to take those minutes and try to make it chaotic in a different way.
Yeah.
I think what they tried was interesting was hack a Mitch, and it actually worked there in the third, midway through the third, and Mitch was like 1 for 4. They actually ended up taking Mitch out after like a minute and a half, 2 minutes, which obviously they miss him on the board. But that was something that they tried and that worked, and they're for sure gonna look at it that way. They can take Mitch out and not be a huge factor on the boards. To me, they're still a ball handler short. They're a penetrator, a creator short, and that showed up at sometimes whenever Nikhil or McCollum was on the bench. Is there enough offense creation? Is there enough getting in the paint, spraying out? I just didn't see enough playmaking there, especially in the second game.
It looked like, when the Knicks got a fast break or an easy bucket, it looked like they made it a point to really get the ball out quick and run, but I would love to see that from them every time the ball goes in the basket, right? Don't just run on misses, don't just run on turnovers, but get the ball out quick. I mean, that's something we saw the Indiana Pacers do last year. And we talked to Tyrese before the game, and he said the similarities between their team last year and the Hawks this year. But I think when you have this type of matchup, you have to run at every single moment.
Yeah, and they have to sustain it. They have to sustain it. They started it and they didn't finish it. But for the Knicks, the positive side of this is you got your bench going finally. You wanted to see these guys get going. As you got into the playoffs and you got contributions from Shaman, you got contributions from Clarkson, you always get contributions from Big Robinson down there. So that is positive for the Knicks as well going into, obviously these games and into the playoffs.
Throughout the year, we have talked a lot about intentional KAT. And in that post-game interview there, he said in that first half, he was just rusty. He then got it going. What do you think led to some success to close out the game, Steve?
Well, I mean, he's a talented player. I think his aggressiveness, like he said, he was a little slow starting. I think also Brunson, they were peel switching early in the first half, so Brunson had opportunities to take that slight advantage and create. So it wasn't necessarily getting back to KAT, rightfully, with Jalen being so aggressive in those situations and so efficient. Second half, he got his opportunities. He started to put his head down. He started to be more forceful. I think he, kind of probably kicked a few off his foot in the first half. He fell a little out of rhythm. Second half, I think he felt more determined. He kind of got going a little bit, made a couple shots, got to the line. I think it kind of pumped him up a little bit. So I think he calmed down and felt like he was back in the second half. And it's good to see for the Knicks' benefit. He's got to be a big part of what they do if they're going to make a long run again.
I think putting his head down is a big part of that, but it's also that can't be the end all be all, right? Put your head down to get to the rim and allow that to open up everything, right? If you have the shot, great, but too many times I think sometimes we see a forced shot, and that's from all players, right? So I think if I was a coach for the Knicks, you're watching film with him and saying, hey, let your drive, let your handle be how you create for others. And he's good enough offensively. He knows when he can go score. But I think if he's thinking a little bit more pass first, I think that could open up things for some of these other guys and sort of take the pressure off of like, hey, I got to go score. You don't have to. Get to the paint. Kick out. Paint touches are gold in this league, and especially in the playoffs. So he's capable of doing that. But it was, like I said, it was good to see him play this way.
He's an interesting player because as a hub, he's a really good passer. Off the drive, he doesn't seem as comfortable passing. So it's kind of one of those things where, like, can he develop a little bit more, just that early draw and play, and maybe give him some confidence to be more of a playmaker off the move?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Do you play Tony Bradley if you're the Hawks? Do you go with a bigger body?
How long's he been there?
He's never been there that long, but he's a big body. He played with the Chicago Bulls. He's been in the league for a while. He's bounced around. So he's been in situations
My
he played.
worry is switching.
He's not going to switch. I think you match his minutes with Mitchell Robinson. I think you match his minutes with Mitchell Robinson. You bring him in, let him bang with Mitchell. He's got 6 fouls. If he needs to use them, he uses them. If not, maybe you don't get the rebound, but you make sure Mitchell doesn't get it.
Well, let's stay there. What adjustments would you make going into game 2 for both sides? Let's start, though, with the Knicks.
Anyone?
Coach?
Jalen Brunson, just keep doing what you're doing. Start out the same way you started out. I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I think they did some really, really good things. There's always the great thing about the playoffs is you have a chance to go rewatch the game, and you watch the game 2 or 3 times, and you start to get into those little minute changes. After a win, I always think it's a little bit difficult to try to find exactly, because they're going to change some things. So now you're trying to think, all right, well, we know they're going to change this. What do we think we should change, and what do we think we need to be ready to change if they don't change what we think they're going to change? So, it's change. Well, whatever, guys.
Well, luckily, we've got a star that we can ask a few questions to. Time for Premium Player, presented by Patron. We welcome in Jalen Brunson.
Hey. Congrats on the win, man.
Congrats on the win.
Yeah, JB, you take game 1 at home. You got up to a hot start in this game. What were you able to take advantage of in the first quarter? But then how did that change for you as the game progressed?
Yeah, got off to a good start in the first quarter. The ball was going in and just had a little bit of rhythm. And then, obviously, within games, things can go up and down. So just found a way to stay composed and still trying to impact the game. And I felt like I did that enough for us to win tonight.
JB, we were just talking about how good it was to see KAT get going in the second half there. Talk about the importance of him being involved and getting going for your team and the success of this series.
Yeah, it's very important. I mean, he's such a big time factor for us, and so we need him at his best, and he's going to provide that for us. And but we all got to help each other out.
Good job, Jalen. Good win. Congrats. Nikhil was a hot player for the Hawks going into the playoffs. What did you guys do to kind of slow him down and get him out of his rhythm?
little bit of luck. You know, I think he missed some shots, some good looks as well. But I mean, we just gotta make it as difficult as possible for him. And the way he's been playing all year, it's just something that we need to lock in on, and we gotta continue to do so. But we know he's gonna come back ready to go.
Jalen, congrats. Incredible. Obviously, a great start from you. Incredible shot making. Tonight, though, as a veteran team getting off to a 1-0 lead, what would you like to change? What would you like to improve upon going into Game 2?
Our end of the fourth quarter execution. I think we could have closed the game a lot better than we did, offensively and defensively. A little bit of the offensive rebounding as well. I think they got some key offensive rebounds to stop our run or start theirs. And it's just those are some key factors I think that we need to just hone in on.
Jalen, man, you did here a good win tonight. We're not going to get into the WWE, but I heard you're a huge fan, and I am as well. But there's a lot of haters up here right now, so we're going to talk about basketball. But tonight, you got a lot of contributions from different guys off the bench, and I understood that throughout the season, you guys were looking for different guys to step up and give those contributions. You always get that from Mitchell Robinson, but tonight you got Landry going, you got Clarkson going, other guys got going. How important is that going to be for you guys to reach your goal as far as winning a championship?
It's very important. In the playoffs, it comes down to who's going to play harder and what key plays are going to make your team win. Obviously you're going to know each other like front to back of a book. You're going to know each other's plays. You're going to know each other's calls and everything. Those little extra things, those key plays, the attention to detail, those things are really going to matter. And people stepping up as well. And we have the right personnel to do so.
All right, congrats on a Game 1 win. Appreciate your time, JB.
Thanks, Jalen.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank
Good
you.
luck, brother.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
All right, we've got another game going on right now. Rockets, Lakers.